Good day and welcome to another episode of Down the Rabbit Hole with Building Inspector Steve Nason. Today I want to talk to you about code compliance for windows and doors using a quote sheet for your pre-permit approval, or if you're a homeowner, you can ask for the quote sheet and look at the requirements for the quote sheets to make sure that your windows or doors do meet code requirements. Okay, why would we want to look at a quote sheet for a permit or before you order them? So you can address any concerns prior to ordering to make sure that they're code compliant, rather than being out in the field reviewing labels and realizing that they don't meet code and that the windows are non-conforming, which would raise a whole pile of headaches and issues. As you may have a house full of windows installed that some may not be up to code, and that's a real headache for the homeowner, the contractor, and yourself. The other thing is that we want to look at it as a legal declaration of the windows being installed, which gets attached to the permits. And often we see that people, once they give you the quote sheet, they don't change their windows. If they do, they'll resubmit another quote sheet that does meet the requirements before they're ordering. And the other thing is, inspectors may not have the time to do a field inspection on all the labels, or the labels get removed prior to you going out there in your field inspection, and that again causes a bit of a headache. Now, with codes and standards for fenestrations, I want to only deal with basically 9.7 and 9.36. 9.7 is the windows and doors and skylights, and references the other standards. So, and then thermal characteristics of windows and doors on 9.36 are your energy section. So when we talk about the standard, what we call is the A440, and commonly known as NAFS, and they deal with the performance and testing of windows and doors. Now, within that standard, there is a separate supplement, and basically what that does is separates the water penetration resistance rating separately from the performance rating. So that's pretty well what you have to know as far as the code sections go. And just remember that water penetration resistance is separate. There's also another reference too for the installation of windows and doors. We won't be getting into that this section. Just now, we'll briefly want to go over a little bit of your window classes that you'll find on your quote sheets. R is what the code is specifying, so we look at R. But however, we'll see that you'll have other ones that'll come in play. All right, you might have an LC, a light commercial or heavy commercial window or something, but those are all above the R, which we'd normally look at. So if you see an LC on your quote, don't worry about it. It's higher than your R class. Now, the other thing we want to talk about is the terrain area. Open terrain is an area that's beside a lake or river, within, I believe, a kilometer of water and lake. So basically where the air, water can really drive at that home. So that's an open terrain. That'd be the end of a field, lake, or within a kilometer of that area. Rough terrain is mostly cities, suburbs, sheltered areas, wooded areas, where it's got a little bit of a buffer against the elements. So those are two classes that you want to look at. Now, location is very important. This is a map in New Brunswick which shows all the different things. So we can get this. The location is key, because each region has a different performance grades because of the design pressures and water resistance rating. Now, this is all driven off of our climatic data, which is in the back of your building code, which also deals with snow loads and all those, because as you know, most of the snow loads or various snow loads are different from city to city depending on their climatic data. So this is no different. And what we'll find here is that, for example, on the next one, is that we've got two open terrain. So you can see the open terrain here, Part 9, New Brunswick, Elma, and this is a PG. Our water penetrations, okay, are separate, right? So once again, is that you can find these on the fenestration calculator. I'll put a link below. It's a lot easier. And what I do there too is that, you can, when you go to the Fenestration Canada, you can print this off, or you can print it off and hole punch and put in your code book, and you're good to go. Or you can just mark it in your code book on the side. Once you get driving down the road with this, you can pretty well know what your PGs are and your water penetrations are. Okay, now the next thing we want to know is the window testing. The installed window or the test report must be smaller than the reported test size. So if you have a 4x8 window, that's the maximum size you go. You can't go by 6x10. So you just want to remember that, and you'll see that on the quote sheets as we roll down through the quote sheets. And you got to watch this too, because sometimes the tested size is smaller than the window, which you can't have. So now the other thing we want to talk about is a little bit about testing before we get into quotes. A single window is tested as one unit. Okay, a composite or mold unit, and what a composite mold unit is, if you put your finger in here and run it along here, down this way, without lifting your finger, that's a composite window. Okay, and you'll also see that they're commonly called a T molding right in here, but once again is that this doesn't lift up. And sometimes in your quote sheet, it's hard to determine whether it's what type of window it is. So we'll go to the next window, which is a little bit more of a headache as far as I can see. Each window, this is a combination window, okay? So each window in a combination, and you have to think of them as boxes. So each box is tested separately. Oh, no, go back here. Each box is tested separately. Then you've got a mullion bar that drives down through here, okay? And that mullion bar joins these two boxes, okay? So what you got to remember is that this box is tested, this mullion bar is tested, and it's tested for structural, air and water. So once again is that if you see a quote sheet, that may only give you one, you don't know whether, and what you're looking for there is the overall rating, okay, and we'll show you here in a second. But you got to remember that this is a series of boxes put together with a mullion strip. Okay, so let's just look at this window here. So this is a single hung window, which has a PG30. Okay, and it would have its water penetration resistance, but for this example, using a PG30, and it's mulled together with a wood, plastic, whatever it is, to another unit. So what'll happen is that on this unit, for example, is we've got a single hung and this one here. So when it gets together as a combination window, right, you can see 30, 25, the lowest number over the overall number is 20. So this would have a PG of 20, and it would take the ratings of that lower number for water and air and all that and structural. So once again, you have to watch this because sometimes manufacturers don't have this mullion bar tested. Okay, so now to recap it up again is that what we're looking for on our quote sheets, we're looking for the energy ratings, performance, or what we call, when I speak to a distributor, they now know that I'm looking for the NAFS information, okay? So that NAFS information would have performance grade, water penetration, and the tested size on it. So we'll go through the next on quote sheets. Now this is a single hung window, and as you can see here, I've got a PG60, and I've got a water penetration, and this one doesn't have the tested size. You can go back and ask them what the tested size, but most cases it may be good. You can check that on the label if you're in the job, but as these manufacturers keep ramping up or these questions get answered, the test sizes will appear on various manufacturers. So now here, okay, so we'll go into this one here. This one here is once again is a single hung unit, and you can see the NAFS information here, PG55, tested size, and my water penetration. This one here would be, and your energy right there. So this one here would be a highlight out the door, you're good. Now this is this is a composite window. It looks like a combination, but it actually is a composite. As I say, some of the pictures are a little fuzzy, but as you get speaking to the manufacturers, you'll know it's a composite. What we're doing, this is tested as one unit. All right, this is a PG70, well above the 20 or 25, so it really doesn't matter whether it's going open terrain or closed terrain. The tested size, once again, this is smaller than the tested size, and a water penetration. This gets a passing grade. Okay, so now here's another one. This is a mulled unit, and this is a combination unit, which, as I said earlier, are a little bit more complicated. You've got two single hung units here mulled together. All right, so what you'll see is that you've got a PG40, you've got a tested size, and you've got a water penetration on each component, 1, 2. Okay. And then you'll see your mulling and assembly has a rating here. So once again, going back to this, if you looked at this here, what is that, 60 there, and we're going back in here with 40. So this would get a PG40 with this number once again because it's the lowest rating. Not really an issue. So what you're kind of looking for is this, or something that says overall rating. Okay. Now doors are another thing, is that what you'll see here is you'll get a PG ratings, and what you've got to watch for the doors is the water penetration resistance ratings. And this one here of 220 doesn't meet the criteria for the for the water penetration for this area here. Okay, in our area is 260, so this one doesn't meet that criteria. In most cases, what it is a sill. And actually, in fact, with this door is going in a garage between the house and the garage, so it really didn't need to meet the water resistance ratings. However, if that was going on the exterior, that would have to be revisited, and that would have to be brought up to the 260. So you've got to watch that on doors, because of the thresholds here would allow any water penetration in there if they weren't tested or they didn't meet the criteria. Okay, again, this is another door. We can see here the water penetration here is at 540, which is good. Where you go. So once again, is that you get your quote sheets, you can generally just highlight these things as you go through, and any questions. Okay, there's another door. You can see that the tested size and the water penetration. So once again, is that's just another check. So sometimes what you'll see here on your quote sheet, sometimes they'll just send in your energy star. So what'll happen is that you'll only see energy or the U factors, or this line right along here where my cursor is. You'll see that, but that's not what we're looking for. That's only one part of the puzzle. That's only the energy. That's not the NAFs. As you can see, this fenestration has been not evaluated for NAFs. So what that tells me is that we've got an issue. We'll have to go back to the distributor or the manufacturer and saying this window is not code compliant. So once again, we've avoided that conflict out in the job site. We've looked at this and said, okay, we have an issue here. So a key is that, when you see these things, sometimes I've seen a lot of manufacturers or the distributors think this is all they have to require is the energy. No, you need the rest of it. You need the energy and you need the NAFs for code compliance. And once again, this only covers the quoting section of the building of the code compliance. I have other videos there that talking about labeling and talk about installation. But today, I think this is the best approach for building inspectors as we move forward with these NAFs requirements. So if you have any questions, you can generally email me, stevenason@rosse.ca, or comment down below, and I'll certainly gladly help you out. Thank you very much, and have a great day.